What's the most regrettable sex you've ever had? NSFW. I was in the middle of hooking up with this girl for the first time. And as we were in the missionary position, she asked me to spit on her face. I thought this was a strange request, but she kept insisting. So, since she was hot and I wanted to keep having sex with her, I hooked up a giant, disgusting glob of spit and aimed it precariously on the bridge of her nose. We dated for a couple months, and each time we did it she wanted me to spit in her face. I did it so much that eventually it became routine for me. Eventually we broke up, and I started dating someone else, who I absolutely adored. It took 6 dates before she finally let me have sex with her. But she was so cool and beautiful that I didn't even care. About 5 minutes into our first lovemaking session, my instincts kicked in and I hocked a giant glob of spit onto her face. She immediately screamed, put on her clothes, and hasn't talked to me since. TLDR. I come to regret ever spitting on a girl's face during sex. I was 69 an ex. She didn't wipe her ass. Shitty chips. In her ass. Shitty chips. Met a guy at a party. Was a little tipsy. Gave him my number. The guy called. I go over. We watch Taxi Driver and start to hook up. He is a freak. Asterisk. We have sex fairly quickly. He pulls his dick out, rubs it on my belly and then lays down on me and rubs his belly on mine. Like baby seals. He gets back to it. Then he stops and asks me if I believe in God. I say, I don't know. We have sex 3 times during the night. The last time, after he finishes, I never did, and yells, sex is so much funnn. Then, haha. Sorry roommates. It wasn't bad. Per se. But certainly regrettable. An American exchange student came over to Ireland and rented our spare room for a year. She was hot but I thought I better not sleep with her because it would be awkward living together if it didn't work out. So I resisted for almost a whole week. The sex was spontaneous and disappointing. The rest of the year was painfully awkward. Almost a whole week. My ex came back begging me to get back with her. At first I was resistant. Then I caved. Now I have herpes type 1 and she isn't with me anymore. With the grossest girl in our high school. I was drunk and we FK'd on a hill next to a trail with apartment buildings behind us. I'm sure some families saw but at the time I didn't care. But yeah, that was by far the most regrettable sex I've had yet. Upvote for yet. The most regrettable would have to be the last sex I had as an able-bodied man. One night stand, good looking older lady. Terrible in the sack. Had an automobile accident a week later resulting in a broken back and paraplegia, T12/L1. A guy pressured me into having unlubed, unprepared anal sex at the age of 16. So that was fun. Edit. Lotto upvotes about my butt. Don't pressure a girl into having she when she doesn't want to. An L or otherwise. I think it goes without saying. I hope. My estranged wife. Forgive me. I'm a little drunk right now. She was cheating on me. I didn't realize at the time. But she was very distant and I was trying anything to repair things with her. Telling her how important she was. Buying things. Cooking meals. Etc. Anyway. I took her upstairs for some sex in the hope that I could connect with her. But it didn't happen. I mean, we had sex. But there was no connection. She wouldn't look me in the eye. She wouldn't touch me. I couldn't get off. And when we finally gave up, I spooned her and told her how much she meant to me. Then she got out of bed without saying anything to me. Not only was it the most regrettable sex I've ever had, it was the worst experience of my life. Oh. And today is her birthday. Do I win the thread? Edit. Also. With your mom. Edit number 2. Thanks. Guys. It is just awful. But the validation of complete strangers makes it oddly better. started sleeping with this guy I'd been dating. The sex was awful. He was overweight and just kind of flopped on top of me. Worst of all, he was super out of shape. So he'd flop around like a trout out of water for 2 minutes. Take a break. Flop some more. Need another break. I'd try to get on top and he'd flop around underneath me like he was having a goddamn seizure and FCK up the rhythm. The worst part is that he genuinely thought the sex was really good. After the second time I just never spoke to him again. I was a coward but I didn't know how to say, hey, that was really bad. Magikarp used Splash. Thanks for the gold. I never really got around to thanking whoever gave it to me. But thanks. Broke up with a long distance GF. She goes crazy and randomly shows up at my apartment at 2 AM after driving drunk for over an hour. Comes into my bedroom and demands that I hit her since it obviously didn't respect her. Started physically attacking me. Finally, I slapped her across the face. She then asked for another. I hit her again. Then she jumped across me and put her ass in the air and demanded to be spanked. I obliged. Hard. And with feeling. I then FK'd her PSSY. Her ass. Then came on her face right in the big pink handprint while holding her down and choking her. We fell asleep eventually. I woke up to an empty bed. Never saw her again. Regret that she got her way out of the relationship. And I got stuck with the terrible knowledge that I will never have sex that good again in my life. Absolutely blitzed. Decided to snog and wank a guy while he fingered me. In the back of a busy pub event. Had a bunch of shots on the table. 3 left, those horrible chilly ones. Moved because my phone vibrates in my pocket and it startles me. Accidentally fall against the table and spill 2 of the shots down myself. Now, that wouldn't be a problem. Were my soaking panties not exposed due to unzipped jeans? The alcohol soaked through. And oh god, the burning. Took off like a bat out of hell. Or as close I could manage in my drunken state. Remember kids, be classy. Or your vagina will be set on fire. Had sex with 2 guys in one night and still ended up finishing myself off. I always make sure the woman finishes. A foursome with my co-workers a couple days ago. After drinking a lot on New Year's at a house party, we saw the host of said party sneak away with a girl into his room. A few of us decided to interrupt whatever they were doing. But when we opened his door, we saw him going down on the girl and really going to town. In our drunken state. Another girl and I thought it was a genius idea to grab some beers and have a smoke while watching them get out on. But after a few beers, we decided to hop in. There was cock sharing, sucking, plenty of girl on girl action, and eating out until I had had enough of the whiskey dick hitting me in the face. At that point, I literally just got up, put my clothes on, and went home to finally pass out. The sex was alright. I may not be the best storyteller, but I'm on my phone at work and wanted to get it off my chest. Edit. TL. Your most regrettable sex is a foursome. And I'm just sitting here. Okay. I'll bite. I picked up a girl at a club. Took her home and had sex. The next morning I decide to take another swing because why not? We start having sex and I look down at her. A strand of light gets through the blinds and she smiles. Is that ink on her teeth? I ask myself. I can't be sure. I lose my boner. She gets upset so I drive her home. On the way home she keeps talking about how she wants a boyfriend and everyone uses her. Soon after that, a torrent of crazy comes out. I'm called a CNT. She threatens to grab my steering wheel and kill us both and then she flips out in some kind of demonic rant. I pull up right at the next bus stop and kick her out. She thanks me and goes on her way like nothing happened. I remember driving off thinking it was a dream. It wasn't. I was getting at a girl that wanted me from high school. We hung out and were talking and then she starts giving me head and naturally things progress. After we finish up she starts crying. In between sniffles and such she tells me she felt bad because she had a boyfriend. It's very vanilla but it's better than your mom. And just for the record I didn't know she had a boyfriend. F-Ked a 5 on Halloween and drunkenly decided to put it in her ass. I vaguely remember asking her where's my dick? Like the guy from the casting couch PRN videos. She replied in a very confused tone in my ass. The 5? Art's mom. Guy I was sort of seeing pulled out before he came and started crying about his ex. Really wish I didn't have this story. This is what you get for leaving out. Serious. Serious, with your mom. I just want to thank the entire Call of Duty player base for commenting on this thread. Also, with your mom. Makeup I'll always love USX after breaking up. Only to be dumped again a few days later. But seriously. I F-Ked one of my best friends and from then on it was just an awkward situation. We had done everything but SX before and was super enthusiastic about it. Moaning. etc. Whole 9 yards. But as soon as we started having SX, she got awkward and really bad in bed. I guess the rhythm didn't match up. But seriously? Some woman I only liked as a friend wanted the D. I really didn't want it. But I had absolutely zero prospects at the time. So I decided to try to see if I'd like it. Frankly, it was f***ing awful. And I aborted before I could undress from the waist down. Her body held no sexual appeal to me whatsoever. I would kiss her nipples with my lips. But my tongue stayed in the back of my throat like she was radioactive. I sent a breakup email. And she turned up at my door trying to save it. Admitting she was a 30-year-old virgin. And said she wanted to be with me for the rest of my life. That did not change my mind at all. This is a little depressing for the woman. Had phone SX in my car on New Year's. Had to work. So I couldn't be with the girl. Never had phone SX before. Anyway. I pinched off my wiener so I didn't come all over my car. Then I tried to turn around so my dick was facing down so I could let it come out in a water bottle. The opening on water bottles is really small. So I missed and came all over my driver's seat. When I lost my virginity. It was sleazy drunk and awkward SX that left me feeling horrible about it. And I'm a dude. Did he even talk to you the next day? FCK regrettable SX. I regret coming to this thread. I had an ex. This was a guy that I dated before coming out and having my girlfriend. On night we are having SXBTU I can't seem to get wet. In fact I can't get wet so much that I start thinking about all the things that turn me on. Like girls. This scares me, still in the closet at the time, and I start panicking because I'm thinking of women while with my boyfriend. He tries. I'd feel bad. I am not even wet enough for him to get a good entry. I have a panic attack. He gets pissed off and frustrated. I tell him what's happening because he's my boyfriend friend and I don't understand what's happening. He bitches about feeling emasculated. I feel terrible and cry. Night gets F-Ked over. The F-King and worst SX ever. Well that and bad anal. That's the worst too. Place looks like a F-King 4chan thread. I'm gay so prepare yourself. My first dick was huge. Like monster can size. I started to suck it but my teeth wouldn't stop touching his shaft. It seemed like he didn't mind. So I just rolled with it. Then he started to force deep throat me onto it until I gagged. When he wanted to penetrate me he didn't prep at all. No fingering. No stretching, nothing. The worst part? He used lotion as lube. The only thing I could bear was his tip. And even that made me limp for 3 days. I guess I have to be somewhat grateful that he didn't pay me as he had all the strength to take advantage of me. TL. DR. Make sure he plays with your ass beforehand, gay guys. This went to shitty real quick. I was at the mall and saw this girl I had known from high school. She was one of those girls that hooked up with every guy she met and especially the jocks. We were in line at Starbucks and we got to talking about old times and she seemed like she had everything together. She was happily married and she had a kid as well. Anyway, at one point in the conversation I mentioned that I had always thought she was cute and she said that she had actually had a crush on me for a while. We got to talking for a bit and when she left she gave me her number and told me to call her sometime. I found it odd but figured she was just being nice. A few weeks go by and one night I get hammered drunk and end up calling her. She came over and we ended up going at it for like 4 hours straight. It was hands down the most regrettable sex I've ever had. Especially once I found out it was your mom. Edit. Wrecked. Whoa. This subreddit has hit an all-time low. Your mom was low last night. When I went to college I felt really awkward because I was one of the few guys who hadn't actually lost his virginity. Obviously I didn't want to deal with any awkward "are you a virgin" questions. So going into my freshman year I was determined to lose it as quick as possible. I played rugby and as I started to spend more time with the guys on the team, I soon realized that there was a girl who actually lived with a few of the guys on the team. And who also happened to get passed around by a few guys on the team. "This is perfect," I said. A disgusting. Ray I can drunkenly lose my virginity to and never talk to again. One night my freshman year and $10,000 in child support later. Here I am. I don't see either of them much anymore. The only real communication I have with my kid is following him around on Reddit and answering his questions. I let my girlfriend FCK me with a strap on. Never again. Edit. Had sex with a coworker. We had gone on a couple of dates and had crazy chemistry. But in the bedroom we were horrible together. What made it even more regrettable is that we both had to work the next day, so we did the awkward trying not to let it show that we had sex the night before dance. And my sandal snapped on the way to work. It was just all around bad. With your mom. Dad. I ended up bringing a girl home, one night stand. So we start. End up she's on her period. I decide to go for it anyways because there is a naked girl in my bed. Did not realize how much of a mess was going to be made. Had trouble keeping it up because everything was covered in blood. Everything. There's literally over 100 comments of your mom. Goddammit Reddit. Damn. Really wanted to see actual answers. With your mom. Being the second to say with your mom. I can't help but think this is all my fault. Most regrettable sex. Round 2 of rebound sex after a short but fun relationship. Met the guy randomly online. Went out for one too many drinks and had sex in his car. Wasn't the greatest but chalked it up to too much booze. Tried again in my car on the next outing and realized it had nothing to do with the booze and everything to do with his 5-man meet. The overconfidence and silly but genuine face also provided little help. And no. He wasn't your mom. As a woman. I'm confused. Simply because a woman is unattractive the sex instantly becomes regrettable? Regrettable sex. To me. Isn't safe. It's sex with a guy who lies about his age and still living at home. It's sex with your best friend's husband. Or your best friend. Fellas. She may not have been a 10. But if she's nice, good, and not a psycho, take it for what it was, a temporary good time in a world full of shitty, and don't waste your time pissing and moaning that she wasn't a dead ringer for Jennifer Lawrence. Edit. Parenthetical error. Thanks mom. Her vagina tasted like ramen. Was it a bad thing? Damn it, I'm hungry now. During my junior year of undergrad, I slept with the TA of my history class on and off for a 3-month academic term. I had just started the coming out process. She was hot and older and wiser. So why the FCK not? Right? She was pretty cool. Wicked smart. And had the sweetest ass I've ever seen. Ultimately, I ended up with an A in the class. But never an O in the bedroom. So, I ended up breaking it off with her and f-king a dude for the next 6 months. because my experience with her convinced me I was confused about my sexuality or something. Eventually found the right type of girl and sorted everything out nicely. Read. Had many orgasms and learned to love lady parts even more. TL. DR. SX so bad it turned me straight. But I got an A in history. So I had that going for me.